8 bikers, leather vests glinting in the sun, cruised down Route 19, a long forgotten road that most folks avoided. They called themselves the Iron Faith, a group of rough men who believed in loyalty, not law. At the front rode Ray Donovan, their leader, a tall man with a scar across his chin and a past he didn't talk about. Behind him were Malik, the medic and ex-army man, Diesel, the muscle, Hawk, the sharp-eyed scout, Theo, the youngest of the crew, and the rest who followed Ray like family. They were heading home from a charity ride, tired, hungry, and low on patience, when Ray spotted something unusual at a gas station on the edge of town. A little girl, maybe 8 years old, stood beside the ice machine holding a beat-up acoustic guitar almost as big as she was. Her hair was tied in uneven braids and her bare knees were scraped. She was staring at a biker's patch like she recognized it from a dream. "Boss, you seeing this?" Malik muttered as they parked. The girl took a shaky step forward and whispered, "Sir, will you buy my guitar?" Her voice cracked like she'd been holding back tears for too long. Ray blinked. "What's that, sweetheart?" "Mom said it's the only way we'll eat tonight," she said, gripping the guitar tighter. "Please, it's still good. I don't want to sell it, but—" Her lower lip trembled. Everyone froze. Diesel took off his sunglasses, studying her face. "Where's your mom, kid?" The girl pointed toward a rusted pickup truck parked by the dumpsters. Through the cracked window, they saw a woman slumped over the steering wheel, motionless, pale. Malik was already moving. "Ray, she's not looking good." Ray crouched beside the girl. "What's your name, honey?" "Alani," she said softly. "My mom's name is Tessa. We were going to sing at the park for money, but she got dizzy. She told me to try selling the guitar if she didn't wake up soon." Ray's chest tightened. He'd seen desperation before, but never wrapped in so much innocence. He stood, glancing back at his crew. "We're not leaving this one behind," Diesel grunted. "You sure, boss? Could be trouble." Ray looked at the little girl's cracked sandals, the way she held that guitar like it was the last piece of her heart. "Yeah," he said. "Trouble or not, we're staying." When Malik opened the truck door to check on Tessa, he froze, because pinned to her torn jacket was a foreclosure notice bearing the same address that used to belong to the Iron Faith's old clubhouse. Malik's fingers trembled slightly as he pulled the paper from Tessa's jacket. A foreclosure notice stamped in red, dated only 2 weeks ago. The name at the top read, "Property seized by Northridge Development Group." Ray's eyes narrowed. "Northridge?" he muttered. "Ain't that the same company that snatched our old clubhouse last year?" Diesel's jaw tightened. "Yeah, bought half this town under the table. Pushed families out like trash." Malik checked Tessa's pulse, faint but steady. "She's alive, just dehydrated," he said. "We need to get her somewhere safe." Ray crouched beside Alani. "You and your mama. Where were you living, sweetheart?" Alani wiped her eyes. "We had a little house on Hilltop Street. Mama said Grandpa built it when she was my age. But then men in suits came. They said the bank sold it to someone else. We had 2 days to leave." Ray exhaled slowly. 2 days? "Yeah," she nodded. "Mama begged them to wait. They said we owed too much, and they were going to tear it down to build new stores. When we left, she told me, 'Don't hate them, baby. Just sing louder.'" Those words hit Ray harder than a punch. He looked away, jaw tight. "Malik, she's coming with us. Get her some water. Diesel, take the truck. We'll bring both of them to the shop." Hawk frowned. "You sure, boss?" "You know what happens when we poke around Northridge business." Ray shot him a look. "They already poked us first when they took our land. Now they're doing it to kids." They rode slowly through the fading daylight, the truck following behind, Alani sitting between Malik and Tessa, clutching her guitar like a shield. Back at Iron Faith's garage, the crew cleared a table and laid out what little food they had: canned beans, crackers, and water bottles. Alani hesitated to eat until Ray nodded. "Go ahead, kid. You earned it." When Tessa finally stirred awake, her first words were a whisper. Where's Alani?" "I'm here, Mama," the little girl said, running to her. Tessa broke into tears. "I'm sorry, baby. I tried to hold on to the house. I really did." Ray crouched beside her. "Don't you worry about that. We'll figure something out." Malik's phone buzzed. A message from a local mechanic friend. He read it, frowning. "Boss, you're not going to believe this. Northridge didn't just take her house." Ray turned. "What now?" Malik looked up slowly. "They took our old clubhouse land, too, and sold it to the same man." "A man named Victor Harlow." Ray's expression darkened. He remembered that name. Victor Harlow wasn't just a developer. He was the man who once promised to protect Iron Faith, before betraying them all for cash. And now, he owned the roof that once sheltered them and the home that starved a child. Night fell over the Iron Faith garage like a heavy blanket. The hum of the ceiling fan was the only sound, until Alani started softly plucking her guitar. The strings were worn, one missing entirely, but the sound that filled the air was pure, fragile, yet full of fight. Diesel leaned back in his chair. "Kid's got soul," he murmured. Ray watched her play, eyes distant. That guitar reminded him of his younger brother, the one who used to sing outside gas stations before addiction took him away. When Alani finished, she looked up shyly. "Mama says music makes people remember they still got hearts." Ray smiled faintly. "She's right. And you're keeping hers alive." Malik joined them at the table, a stack of papers in hand. "Did some digging. Victor Harlow's buying every foreclosed property in this county. And get this, he's using shell companies to hide the names." Ray frowned. "Who's behind him?" "Could be city officials, maybe a bank manager," Malik said. "But he's the face. The rest hide behind his charm," Diesel scoffed. "Charm? That the word for a man who steals homes from families?" Ray's jaw flexed. "We tried playing nice with him once. He promised to save our old clubhouse from being demolished. Said he'd turn it into a youth center. And then he bulldozed it for a parking lot." Hawk muttered bitterly. Ray nodded. "Yeah. And now he's doing it again. This time to a kid who plays her heart out just to eat." From across the room, Alani was whispering to her mother. "Mama, they said Mr. Harlow's the one who took our house." Tessa's face paled. "That man, he's the reason your granddad died broke. He worked for him for years, building homes he could never afford." Ray stepped closer. "You knew Harlow?" Tessa nodded weakly. "Everyone in town does. He smiles in church on Sundays and ruins people's lives by Monday." Ray turned to his crew. "Tomorrow we pay him a visit." Hawk raised a brow. "You think talking will change his mind?" Ray's voice went cold. "Who said anything about talking?" The crew exchanged glances. They knew that tone. It meant they were going in deep. Theo glanced at Alani. "What happens if he don't listen?" Ray looked at the little girl's broken guitar, then at her mother sleeping on a cot by the window. Then he's gonna learn what it feels like to lose something that matters. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance, low and slow, like engines revving in the clouds. The next morning, as they rode toward Victor Harlow's gleaming estate, Malik's radio crackled with a warning. "Turn back now. Harlow's expecting you, and he's not alone." The next morning, the Iron Faith crew thundered down the cracked road leading to Harlow Estate, a sprawling mansion fenced off by steel and pride. The engine's roar echoed off the marble walls, a sound that didn't belong in a place built on stolen lives. Ray dismounted first. "Malik, you sure he's home?" Malik nodded grimly. "Yeah, his assistant said he's expecting guests." Diesel cracked his neck. "Guess we're the entertainment." They pushed through the gate, ignoring the guards' protest, until they stood in front of the man himself, Victor Harlow. Mid-50s, slick gray hair, and a smile too polished to be real. He stood on his porch in a silk shirt and gold cufflinks, sipping coffee like he owned the sunrise. "Well, if it isn't the Iron Faith," Harlow said with a grin. "I'd heard you boys were still riding around pretending to be heroes." Ray's eyes were calm but cold. "You took a woman's home, Harlow. A woman named Tessa. Her little girl nearly sold her guitar on a highway just to buy food. You sleep fine with that on your conscience?" Harlow chuckled. "Conscience? This is business, Mr. Donovan. The house was bank property. Nothing personal." Malik stepped forward, slamming a file onto the patio table. "This says different. Shell companies, fake signatures, forced appraisals. You didn't buy her home, you stole it." Harlow glanced down at the papers, unmoved. "You've done your homework. But unless you plan on suing me, which let's face it, you can't afford, there's nothing you can do." Diesel clenched his fists, but Ray raised a hand to stop him. "Maybe we can't fight you in court," Ray said quietly, "but we can make sure everyone in this town knows exactly who you are." Harlow's smirk faltered. "You threatening me?" "Call it a promise." From the balcony above, a new voice echoed, deep, commanding. "That's enough, Ray." Everyone looked up. Sheriff Dalton, a man they'd trusted for years, stood with his badge glinting in the sun, and a Northridge pin on his lapel. Hawk muttered under his breath. "Well, ain't that a kick in the teeth?" Ray's expression hardened. "So it's you. You've been running protection for him this whole time." Dalton shrugged. "A man's gotta eat. You think riding bikes and playing rebel feeds a family?" Ray took a step forward. "No, but stealing from one doesn't either." Harlow sighed, pretending boredom. "If you're done playing savior, I suggest you leave before you end up just like your old clubhouse, flattened and forgotten." Ray stared at him for a long moment, then smirked. "Maybe, but at least when we fall it won't be for greed." He turned to his crew. "We're not done here." That night, as the Iron Faith regrouped at their garage, Alani played a song she'd written herself. And the lyrics revealed something none of them expected. She knew where Harlow kept the proof of what he'd done. Night had settled over the Iron Faith garage. The storm outside had passed, but tension still hung heavy in the air. Alani sat by the fire pit, her small fingers tracing the strings of her cracked guitar. Ray leaned against his bike, lost in thought. They had no proof strong enough to take down Victor Harlow. At least, not yet. Then Alani began to sing. Her voice was soft, trembling, but the words cut through the silence like lightning. Mama said some men build houses, but others just steal dreams. They paint their walls with kindness, but hide the rot beneath the beams. The crew froze. Malik looked at Ray. You hear that? Alani kept going. She wrote down names in her blue book, the ones who took our home. She said if we don't make it back, the truth's beneath the stone. Ray crouched beside her. Alani, what blue book? She blinked. Mama's journal. She always said it had everything. The people who came, what they made her sign. I think she hid it. At our old house. Ray stood, energy coursing through him. That's it. That's what we need. They rode through the night to the remains of Tessa's foreclosed home. The yard was half dug up, bulldozers sleeping under tarps. Malik used his flashlight, scanning for anything intact. Over here, Hawk called. Beneath a loose garden stone lay a small blue notebook. Wrapped in plastic, Ray opened it, page after page of notes. Receipts and signatures linking Victor Harlow to illegal evictions. Bribes and forged banking records, Malik exhaled. This'll bury him. By dawn, the Iron Faith were waiting outside Channel 9 News downtown. Ray handed the book to the reporter, a woman known for hating corporate crooks. Within hours, the story spread. Developer and sheriff exposed in massive foreclosure fraud scheme. Harlow was arrested before sunset. Sheriff Dalton's badge was stripped, and Tessa's house, along with dozens of others, was returned to its rightful owners. Back at the garage, the crew gathered as Tessa hugged Alani tightly. You saved us, baby. You and your music, Alani smiled. No, Mama, they did. She looked up at Ray and his crew. They're the ones who stopped. Ray handed her a brand new guitar, polished wood gleaming under the shop lights. You earned this one, and you'll never have to sell it. Tears filled Tessa's eyes. How can I ever thank you? Ray smiled. You already did, by reminding us what family really means. Alani began to play again, her new guitar echoing through the garage. The sound was warm, alive, like the heartbeat of something reborn. The Iron Faith listened in silence, the sun rising behind them, painting the sky gold. Weeks later, Ray got a letter in the mail, a drawing from Alani. It showed bikers riding into the sunset with the words written in a child's handwriting. For the men who stopped when no one else would.